Hello NFL fans and welcome to Matthew's YouTube channel. In this week's video we'll be predicting, what are we predicting next week's games?
Week 9.
Week 9's games. I'll be giving my predictions based off no knowledge about the games whatsoever, and Matthew will be giving his about everything he's been studying from the games in the past.
So the first game we've got coming up on Thursday Night Football is the Jets at the Colts. So who do you think is going to win that one?
The Jets at the Colts. The Colts?
Why?
I don't know. I don't know these teams very well. It's not like it's like two underdogs. It sounds like in my head.
Okay.
Because they're not like big names that I hear very often. Jaguars more so than the Colts.
I said the Jets.
Yeah, let's go for the Colts.
Okay, I think the Colts are going to beat the Jets because despite the Jets having beaten two of the top AFC contenders so far this year, the Colts, they have Carson Wentz, who's a bit better than Mike White, the Jets' backup quarterback. Well, not just a bit, quite a lot better actually. And I just don't think that the Colts will let another loss slip through their fingers because, well, they should have really beaten the Titans, I think, on the weekend. And yeah, the Jets aren't actually that great. So the second game we're just going to quickly look at is the Saints at the Falcons. Who do you think is going to win between the Saints and the Falcons?
The Saints! Who that?
Why?
Because they have to win. Because that's the team I support since I got married to Matthew.
Yeah, you still support the Packers, but the Saints more so might be on TV.
Yeah, and the Saints are doing well, aren't they?
Yeah, we're 5-2. Basically, if we win all of the rest of our games, we win the division ahead of the Bucs. Oh well, discounting the game against the Buccaneers. So because we beat them last week, and we have the tiebreaker, and they have a bye week this week. So if we win, we'll be a game ahead. And yeah, the Saints, we just have a great defense. So I think defensively, like even without Jameis Winston, and even if Taysom Hill doesn't come back this week, which in a way I feel like we're rushing him back a little just to play, but even if we do have Trevor Siemian against the Falcons, I think the Saints are just a whole better team in general. I mean, the Falcons offense, they've unfortunately lost Calvin Ridley due to personal reasons, so I think that the Falcons won't be good enough to get through the Saints defense. I mean, Tom Brady wasn't, so I can't imagine the Falcons would be. Okay, so the third game we're going to look at is the Broncos at the Cowboys. Who do you think is going to win between them?
I think the Cowboys will win. But I'm saying I think all these teams are going to win, but they're more like the favorite that I have. Mm-hmm. So
your favorite's the Cowboys?
The Cowboys would win to the Broncos.
Do you know why? Or why they're your favourite? Because obviously
why they're my favorite. In those two, I like the Cowboys because I once had a friend who supported the Cowboys, and that is it.
Well, they actually have. I think they have more fans than any other team. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. I think the Cowboys are going to win because basically the Cowboys, they're one of the best teams in the league, potentially the best. If the Packers lose a game, so I think the Cowboys are going to win, and also the Broncos. They haven't beaten a single good team, and all they've done is beat up upon like the four of the like 5 worst teams in the league. So I just think they have no chance at all. So what was this? The fourth game? 1, 2, 3. 4. So the fourth game we're going to look at is the Patriots at the Panthers. So which of those two teams do you think is going to win?
I don't know. Let's say the Panthers. Because the Patriots don't have Brady anymore. And I don't know, maybe the Panthers are probably doing well. They also sound like an underdog because they're not a name that are mentioned a lot, that I hear a lot. I mean, over here being in the UK. But I hope they do well and make a name for themselves.
Well, I for one hope the Panthers do not do well as a Saints rival. But both teams are 4-4, so they're both extremely average. The Panthers went on a 3-game winning streak to start the year, so they were 3-0. Then they went and lost 4 games straight, and then they just won their most recent one. So they're 4-4 at the moment. So if they continue their streaks, they will win today. But I don't think so. The Patriots, they started the year off really shaky, but in this last game, in the last couple of games, they scored 54 points on the Jets, and then they beat the Chargers, who are actually a really good team in the AFC this year. So I think that the Patriots are going to win just because I think they're slightly better than the Panthers. So this game between the Ravens and the Vikings was one of the games that I wanted to talk about a bit more in depth. So I think there's two reasons really to look at, two different perspectives you can look at this game. I think there's one perspective where you can go, oh, the Ravens, they're coming off a bye week, they have a Hall of Fame head coach, they have an elite quarterback, and they have just a great team in general. Like the way they play, it wins games, and they're going to be one of the teams that's going to be potentially challenging for the Super Bowl come January, February. The Vikings are just coming off a humiliating loss to the Cowboys when the Cowboys had their backup quarterback playing. But then if you look at it from the other perspective of the Vikings, they have much better weapons on offense. They have one of the best running backs in the league, Dalvin Cook. They have one of the best receiving duos in the league, Adam Thielen, and they have Justin Jefferson. And their quarterback, Kirk Cousins, whilst he didn't have the best game last week, he has only thrown 2 interceptions this entire year so far, which is actually less than any quarterback that has started more than 5 games. The Ravens, they're on their 4th choice running back, and they are a running team. And also, they haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver since Mike Wallace in 2016. So in terms of passing the ball, they're not great at that, really. So I don't know, depends on which way you look at it, I think. But I actually think the Ravens are going to win this one because I look at it from the first perspective of the Ravens are coming off a bye and they have a Hall of Fame head coach and elite quarterback. But what do you think, Rebecca?
The exact same.
No, you can't just say that.
Yep. You went into such detail, just took the words right out of my mouth.
So this second game I wanted to highlight is the Browns at the Bengals. And I think this is probably one of the most interesting games because the Browns, both of these teams at the start of the season, if you'd have told me that they'd be in like these positions now, I'd been bowled over because the Browns, they're bottom of their division and the Bengals are basically nearer the top of their division. They were top of their division until they lost to the Jets last weekend. And I completely thought at the beginning of the year the Browns would be at the top and the Bengals would be at the bottom. So this game I think is a really interesting one between the two teams. And on the one hand, you've got the Bengals coming off of a big loss to the Jets, who are just terrible. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, you've got the Browns, who they're also coming off a loss to the Steelers, which is normally quite an emotional game between the two. So I'm not really sure both these teams coming off of big losses. But I think for me, the difference is pretty much the quarterback because like the Browns roster is unbelievable, but they're really being let down by their quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And the Bengals, on the other hand, they have a pretty decent team, but not amazing anywhere in particular. And you've got Joe Burrows, who is the quarterback for the Bengals, who is making everything tick, and Jamar Chase as well, their rookie wide receiver, who is on track to break every record you can imagine for receivers at the moment, rookie records for receivers at the moment. So who do you think?
I like the Browns more.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. They've got a better team in general, pretty much at every position.
And they lost to the Steelers, but the Steelers probably isn't. Steelers aren't as bad as
the Jets.
The Jets? Is that who they lost to?
Yeah, the Bengals lost to the Jets and the Browns lost to the Steelers. So the Bengals lost to the Jets is much worse, but the Steelers aren't that great this year either. Mm. So this next game we're going to look at between the Bills and the Jaguars, a bit of a quicker one. I just think that the Bills are going to blow the Jaguars out of the water. The Jaguars absolutely stink, and the Bills are... the Jaguars couldn't cope with Geno Smith last week, so I can't imagine how they're going to cope with Josh Allen.
I'm going to piggyback off of what you said and say the Bills, though.
Okay.
I probably would have said so anyway, just because the Jaguars, I don't think they're great. Okay, so who do you think is going to win between the Dolphins and the Texans?
Well, I think it's pretty close because both of these teams are literally dreadful. In terms of offense and defense, both of these teams are in the bottom 3 of the league. So, to be honest, I don't really care who wins, nor do I know who's going to win because they both stink so bad. So, I would just say don't watch this game if you're not a Texans or Dolphins fan.
I say the Dolphins.
That's a good shout, to be fair, because the Texans have looked so awful since Tyrod Taylor got injured. So who do you think is going to win between the Raiders and the Giants?
I think the Raiders will win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the Raiders. I don't like Oakland very much, the area. I used to travel there. But I think they will win.
Okay.
I think they're tough.
Is that because they've moved to Vegas now?
Yeah. I knew they moved. Oh, okay. So if they move to Vegas, then I think the Giants.
I reckon the Raiders might win this one. But, well, they're top of the AFC West. But I think they're on a good run at the moment, so they may well win this one. And the Giants aren't very good, so I think that gives the Raiders the edge, considering the run that they're on, and they have Derek Carr, who's an elite quarterback. But I've got to feel like the Raiders have got to start getting some L's soon, because they don't even have a head coach. So who do you think is going to win between the LA Chargers and the Philadelphia Eagles?
I think the Chargers, because I'm from Los Angeles. We didn't always have a football team, and I'm going to root for my own team.
Excellent.
Even though, as a Packers fan,
Your LA team.
Yeah. This
Excellent.
is the local team.
I think the Chargers are going to win as well, because the Eagles are just kind of dreadful, I think. I do not have any faith in Jalen Hurts. He's not great at throwing. He hogs the ball when he runs. And the Chargers, they are a much more complete team. And they're going to be in the playoffs at the end of the season.
So who do you think is going to win between the Packers and the Chiefs?
Well, I think before the Aaron Rodgers news, I think the Packers, of course, were going to win. But now that he's got COVID and he's going to be out for the game against the Chiefs.
Is he?
Yeah. So I think the Chiefs might... Well, this is their chance really to get their season back on track, because the Chiefs so far, they're bottom of the AFC... No, they're second bottom in the AFC West to the Broncos. But they've been so bad this year. Patrick Mahomes has more turnovers than any other quarterback in the league. More than Zach Wilson, more than Trevor Lawrence. And I think they've really got something wrong with them at the moment. They're losing. They've got so many turnovers. There's so many mistakes. And yeah, they're just such a weird team now. Like, we were all expecting them to be a great each week. But because of the turnovers, like, they drove all the way down the field last week against the Giants. And then they just turned the ball over right near the goal line. And I was like, classic Chiefs at this year. So, yeah, I think the Chiefs, they have a chance of winning because Aaron Rodgers is out. It's a real tough choice, because, I mean, the Packers have been relying a lot on their running game, so maybe they'll be okay without Rodgers for a week. So I guess I'll go with the Chiefs because Aaron Rodgers is out. But I would not be surprised if Aaron Jones just completely carried them on his own anyway.
I think the Packers will win.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have faith in them. That's my team, the Packers. Go Pack. Yeah, I didn't know that Aaron was out, though.
Yeah, he's basically the Packers are basically the consensus number one team in the NFL as of this week, according to different power rankings here and there. So it's looking like the Packers as a complete team with Rodgers, possibly the best team in the league, but without Rodgers, maybe they're a lot worse.
There's no I in team.
Yeah, but there is a me.
What do you think about the Cardinals versus the 49ers?
Well, the 49ers have just come off of their 4-game losing streak with a win against the Bears. And the Cardinals are coming off of their winning streak with a loss to the Packers. So it's a 7-1 team against a 3-4 team, I believe. So I think it's a pretty easy one, to be honest. The Cardinals are just a much better team. They've scored over 30 points a game so far this season. And in terms of defense, I think they're in the top 5 in terms of yards allowed. So I just think that the Cardinals are possibly going to blow the 49ers out of the water, especially because we don't even know who's the 49ers quarterback's going to be. Maybe even Kyle Shanahan, their coach, doesn't either. But if it's Garoppolo, I think they have a bit of a better chance, because I don't think Trey Lance is ready. But if they have Trey Lance, then it's just going to look like the same game as last time, where it ended 17-11 to the Cardinals. So who do you think is going to win? Were you going to say the 49ers until I told you the Cardinals?
Yeah, I used to like the 49ers because I lived in I studied in San Francisco for a bit, and everyone would support the 49ers, and there was like this big Super Bowl game where Beyonce showed up, and it was this huge deal while I was in uni. And yeah, so I think the 49ers, because I have a connection there.
Mm-hmm.
What about the Titans and the Rams?
Well, so the Titans, they've just lost their best player, who basically carries their team, Derrick Henry. He got a broken foot or a broken bone in his foot and had surgery this week. So they're going to be out without their best player, who pretty much defines their team in general. Like, he's so tough and so physical, which is kind of who the Titans are. But without him, without Derrick Henry, the running back, I just think that they don't have an awful lot of chance against the Rams, who are 7-1 at the moment and who look almost unstoppable. Like, against the Texans last week, I know it was only against the Texans, but they ran the score up to 38-0 by the third quarter and then just played their bench players. And then the Texans scored a few. So I think the Rams have a much better chance of winning. And I actually think the Titans, they may go quite downhill now that Derrick Henry's out. I mean, A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, the wide receivers, have got to step up an awful lot to take some of that load off of Derrick Henry and the rest of the team so that they even have a chance of beating the Rams. I mean, the Rams just look partly unstoppable this year, except against the Cardinals earlier in the season.
I would think the Rams. I mean, I'm glad they're doing well. They were doing well. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Mm-hmm. They were about to either go to the Super Bowl.
They got to the Super Bowl.
They got to the Super Bowl.
And finally, we have two teams, the Bears and the Steelers, both of whom are struggling a little bit this year, but both, of course, big franchises who have had a lot of success in the past. Who do you think is going to win this one?
I think the Bears, because I don't like the Steelers too much. Mm-hmm. Just because they've beat certain teams that I've liked in the past, like years ago, and I just hold grudges. So I think I'm hoping the Bears will win.
I think I'm going to go with the Steelers because both teams are just a bit pathetic in general in some ways, but the Steelers' defense actually has something about them. They've got TJ Watt and, of course, Hayward as well, so they're looking like a good team in terms of their defense. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger still stinks, but we'll see what happens when they replace him, probably in the off-season.
So thank you guys for watching my channel. Please like and subscribe here, and go to my website, wallofnfl.com, and
for exclusive articles and, of course, live scores when the games are on as well.
Yep.
Also, our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok as well. And also, don't forget to comment down below who you think is going to win each game and what games you're going to be watching, because I certainly won't be watching the Texans and Dolphins this weekend.